Guys, we're gonna have try to make it a quick mock tonight, but we're a few days into free agency now, or into the legal part of free agency, or the official part of free agency, and so a lot of moves have been made. Some of them have been different than ones that I had assumed would be made or could be made, and so want to do this draft honoring the needs that are still left with free agency and really are not going to be met the way that they need to be. I'm talking about left tackle. Obviously, here, left tackle needs to get addressed, and we got to do something about it. And the Jags want to move up 2 spots, and maybe we feel comfortable with who we have on the board here to go ahead and do this trade. So maybe I'm going to go ahead and entertain it here. We'll see what happens. We might not really get what I want. Try to move up our draft spots, our draft picks somewhat there. Move back 2 spaces. I'm going to move up 6 in the 4th and 30 with our first 5th, and then another 11 spots in our other 5th. And to me, that's totally worth it. If the Jags want to trade and they want the spot, this is what I'm going to look for in order to move back 2 spots here. So let's see if the 3rd time is the charm. It is. Quick pause. Okay, the Cowboys won our spot. I think we're going to decline that. Washington wants our spot. I want to keep this pick. So we can get an offensive lineman here. I have not watched tape on these guys yet, and so I am sure that once I select someone, I'm going to get an earful here, and that's cool. If you think that someone's really good, I'm all for it. I haven't watched the tape yet on these guys yet, and so what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to take the first available at that position, the highest ranked person they have at that position, and we're going to let that be that. But we missed out on Trent Williams. We haven't gotten an adequate replacement, and so at this point, getting that offensive tackle, while I personally wouldn't have wanted to, man, we have some good players that went just a few spots before us here. While I personally wouldn't have wanted to get offensive tackle in the 1st round, because I'd rather have had solid starters to where we could get some developmental guys in the mid to late rounds. That's how I like to do it, but it's clear we need to get a rookie offensive tackle, and so unfortunately we're kind of handicapped with the draft and teams knowing that we have that great need that we'll probably seek to fill in the 1st round. Another one here, man, the linebackers are all right here. And I tend to love to go Jabril Cox, but again, we're going to go with the highest rated. I'm kind of copping out here. You can't be mad at me for my judgment. You have to be mad at the Draft Network for their rankings, because that's what I'm going by tonight. So we're just going to see how this plays out and work on filling out those positions there. I'm not sure that the Chiefs are going to address linebacker as high as I would like them to. That pick probably turns into something else. And here we have another few good players that went right before our spot here. Man, and there are some guys here. There's about 4 or 5 guys here I'd like to draft, um, including Spencer Brown. But man, it's kind of tempting to go tight end here. But I really want to get our interior defensive line. And so that's the way I'm going here. That's the need I'm filling. But it's tempting. It was definitely tempting to want to take a tight end, and Reed and Veach might feel that themselves during actual draft day. Man, Anthony Schwartz going to 125. I have been doing these mock drafts for a while now, and I've never seen Anthony Schwartz go this early. So I don't know if they've been tweaking after he's ran some of his pro day stuff or what, but that's a huge surprise to me. Usually he's available 160, 170. Anyway, again, there's a few players there off the board that I would really like there. Instead, though, we're gonna go ahead and take cornerback. You may be wondering why I don't just go ahead and grab an edge, and that's certainly a fair question. And the answer that I have to that is only that there's some developmental guys later on that I really like. And of course, the way this draft is working out now, there are plenty of edge guys here earlier that I'm probably going to have to go ahead and think really hard about drafting here at 144. Let's see. What do we have for our top need according to their rankings? That would be wide receiver. Yeah, I think they've been adjusting some of their rankings a little bit. All right, let's see. Tight end. I'm just not sure that's going to be something we end up filling. They still have not adjusted the needs. They have interior or offensive line. Unless they are just flat out talking about center. I do not understand why they have interior offensive line on here. We can certainly use a center, but that's it. I think we're clearly we're set at wherever Tooney lines up at. I don't think there's any doubt about that. It's going to be a bit of a question of are we going to let our right guards compete? Are we going to throw a rookie in there? We are like stacked at the guard position. Doesn't mean we have great ones. It means we have a lot. We have an abundance of players who are guards. This is a guy that I really like, and they have him at 195. Doesn't mean he'll go there, but he has a huge frame. He's 6'7", 247. At least the weight that they had on there, and in his toolbox, they say, is loaded with physical traits. And he does have that leg injury on there that I'm not real comfortable about, and he's definitely lacking some stuff, but it's kind of player that has the size and ability that you would like to see what Daly can do with them. We have 4 picks left, and so I'm just trying to get an idea of what I have left, where I have to go here. And we might end up making a trade. I don't know. Probably not getting a tight end, though. And so, here's who we have so far. I'm half tempted to go ahead and pass on an edge player again. Let's see what we have left for our offensive line. I'm not seeing any centers here. So we have the next two picks. I wonder if we can't go ahead and try to make a trade. Try to pick up a few more picks. I'm not really seeing anything here that I care too much about. I don't think they're going to go for that. Oh. They won't even go for that. Alright. What if we just take those off there? Oh. Alright, so we're probably not going to get a trade done with the Jets. Let's try the Eagles. They're in a pretty good spot here. Where they might be... Yeah, they're pretty willing to do something there. And so... moving back 5 spots and moving up 4 spots. That might work out for us. Maybe. Let's see. Oh, and they still... Do they have all of our picks on here? I didn't check. I forgot to check. Alright. Yeah, I don't want to move back that far. Let's just go ahead and do this trade. That's a little bit of an adjustment, and then we'll see if we can find a partner for 144 here. We just missed out on Yaboa, 1 pick earlier before our pick. Let's see if we can get find a trade partner for our very next pick. Okay, somehow the Saints got some more picks. That's interesting. All right. Washington doesn't want to trade. We might not find a dance partner. Okay, so if we move back 1, they will let us move up 8. Not the greatest thing in the world, but I mean, it's some movement. I have no problem making these kinds of trades where we just move back 1 or 2 and we pick up some spots and other picks. It's no big deal because I really don't care if I draft here or not. Simply because there's no player that I'm really enamored with at that spot. Yeah, they don't have anything to offer. Let's scroll and look here. When I have time to myself, I'll just scroll around and I'll look for teams that have multiple players kind of at a spot where spots that I like, and I'll try to offer something that way. Browns just don't have. Yeah, there's nothing there I really care for. We might just have to go ahead and make this pick. So right here is probably where I would typically go safety, but I'm not sure that the Chiefs care about safety like I do, so I'm going to try to avoid going safety here on this spot. I just don't care about that. So maybe we just go ahead and we pull an audible here, and we just go ahead and get our edge player anyway, and we just live with the consequences of that. One thing I know about whatever Brett Veach will do is I probably won't like it instantly, and so that is what it is. I'm going to go ahead and get our receiver. Yes, I do have my draft crushes. Josh jumped like 8,000 feet in the air the other day, and so I'm excited about what he could do in our red zone. Alright, we have 2 needs left on here, according to the Draft Network. Interior offensive lineman, again, which I assume they mean center and tight end. And I don't think there's a tight end I really care to draft. I'm not familiar with all of these guys here. I'm not sure how many of these guys are centers, if any of them are centers. And I definitely haven't watched tape on them. Alright, here we go. What about this guy? Alright. He's 6'3", 300 pounds. He's finished his career with 33 consecutive starts at center or guard for Illinois. Has the lateral mobility and functional athleticism to develop and continue to work at the pro level. His potential as a recent position swap could not be ignored. That said, should not be ignored. Green is understandably rough around the edges with the finer points of strike placement, feel for scraping defenders' angles when climbing to the second level, and his footwork and base. Viewing him through the scope of a player who is still new to the position, the flashes of leverage at the point of attack and mobility, particularly at center, make him a worthwhile flyer later in the draft. Ideal role as a developmental center, and his scheme fit is wide/outside zone heavy rushing offense. I'm going to have to watch some tape on him. He sounds like a guy that may be an interesting guy for us to look at. Drake Jackson. It says inside zone heavy rushing attack. That is definitely not Kansas City. Gap block developmental starting guard. Developmental starting guard. Alright, Alright, this is not the position you want to be in anyway, like reaching for a position of need. This guy is huge. He sounds like an interesting prospect. Not for center, but just in general. Alright, let's see. That's the thing that what I've noticed from the reports I've read on here. There's not many guys that fit what the Chiefs are doing. They're not zone blocking. They're not from passing offenses. Drew Daltman looks kind of lightweight. Yeah, I just don't know if there's a point. And he looks like an undrafted free agent type anyway. So I guess if we're going to go offensive line here, let's go Kendrick Green. And now I'm going to have to go see if I can find some film of him. Veach is probably good for one pick or two that he's going to stretch on and reach for. Maybe it's that. I don't know. Yeah, I'm definitely declining that. There's no value there for that. Alright, our remaining need on here is tight end. I think at this point with our last pick, I'm just going to kind of go... So this is who I would have liked to have gotten at edge if we could have traded back. Unless there's another wide receiver that we really like here, where we double up on cornerback. We're going to double up on something at this point, probably. I really like Rochelle. I think he's an intriguing guy. Brandon Smith, last week or so, just like lit up with like all the combine measurable stuff that was going on. So he's an intriguing guy as well. And it's 6'3". I think he ran like a 4.55 or something like that. So definitely not the fastest guy. But he's an interesting guy. I'm not sure that we would waste a draft pick on him. At this point, I think we're just going to take another edge rusher, and we'll see what we got there, and hope that that we hit on one of these guys and we can start developing better players in our draft. So we're gonna look here real quick. I didn't really make any trades, so it shouldn't really freeze on us, but if you can see our draft class here with this mock, and then we'll update as free agency goes on farther. But at this point, there's no one available that they can realistically fill in at left tackle that is going to fit our needs. And so going left tackle probably really is the reality now at 31, or maybe it always was the reality, but I'm forced to acknowledge the reality that we're probably going left tackle with our first pick. And again, I doubt Veach pulls the trigger on a linebacker at 63, but I seem to always do that, and so that'll be a habit I'll try to break in my next one. If there's an interior defensive lineman there, or an edge rusher, or a cornerback, or a receiver they really like, I could see that as well. And maybe in our next mock, we'll do that. Maybe I'll just do another one really quick here while we're here. Let's just do another one, and we'll try to make sure that we go. I'm going to go the 6 rounds. We don't have a 7th round pick anyway, at least not in here. I don't know that I'll make any trades anyway to make it worth it. So we'll try to go that. We'll try to hit on offensive tackle, wide receiver, cornerback, edge, one of those. Try to hit 3 out of those 4 positions with our first 3 picks and see what we can do here with what we have. Man, that's kind of intriguing. Oh, they want 63 in there as well. The only way I'm going to even consider this is if they let me counter it. Doesn't look like they're going to let me counter it. So we're just going to go here. I don't know enough about AVT to know if he has the ability to play tackle or not. Yeah, it says here the ability to play that position in a pinch at the next level. So I guess we're just going to assume that man, I don't see why. I don't see anything in this report that says why he couldn't play left tackle, given his athleticism. Maybe it's because he's shorter. Somebody who knows will have to comment and let me know the answer to that one. Is it crazy if I draft him to play left tackle? That is a question I don't know the answer to yet. So I'm a little afraid to draft him there. Eichenberg, what I've read is basically he's not too far away from his ceiling already. That and his scheme fit, as it says on here, is gap and power heavy rushing offense. That is definitely not us. When you look at these projections, and it depends on how much stock you put into them, it's a lot of these guys don't seem to, they're not projected to fit our scheme. Alright, we're going to go Mayfield again here. And so, as we get closer to the draft, and as I get the time to read more rankings and reports and start to sit down at each position and kind of do my own scouting, watch and film, I'll have a better idea of what guys can do. Alright, it just seems like with our picks that it just plays out for us to go linebacker here. I mean, you got these linebackers just crying out to be drafted. You know, I think... Oh, we have Josh Meyer sitting here. Let's get our center out of the way. And we'll just go from there. I was half tempted to make that draft pick and just go ahead and get our linebacker and or get a third great player. I like the idea, at least the way this draft board plays out, of landing between as many picks as possible between like 40 and 110 or so, 105, 110. I'd love to have like 8 picks just from like 40 to 110. Alright, as I'm looking here, I think we just go ahead and get our linebacker. See if a wide receiver falls to us this time with our next pick, unlike last time when we were drafting. And that's another pocket of players right there that I really like. Alright, let's see who we have available to us here. I love my track star here, so I'm gonna take him since he went early last time. Sorry about that. What do you think? Where should we go next? Interior, defensive line, tight end, edge, and cornerback. I feel like edge, you can get some better players, developmental players later on. Here are our picks so far. We're filling our left tackle position, our center position, adding a linebacker, adding a wide receiver. I'd really like to get that interior defensive line, add a cornerback. I don't really see an interior defensive lineman. Bobby Brown. Let's go with Bobby Brown. Bobby Brown the third here. Alright. We're at 175. There's still a few guys here that I like. Ellerson Smith, Tony, Kane Dow. Even Taron Jackson is an interesting guy. So that might afford us the ability to look at cornerback right here. Yeah, we don't run a lot of man-to-man he had 5 interceptions, logged a variety of roles, versatility there, feisty stickiness. You know, at some point you kind of have to trust your coaching staff, and we have a great cornerback coach and DB coach, and so that's just kind of one of those picks. You got to trust the two of those guys to develop your guy. I'm not going to make a trade. I just want to make sure. I think this is our last. Okay, we have 2 picks left. All right. 6'6.5", 260 versus 6'3", 238. All right, we're gonna go ahead and take Ellerson Smith, who fell to us here. We got one more pick left here. We filled all the needs that they have on here for us except for tight end. And I don't see a player at tight end that I really care for. So now it's just a question of, do we want to double up somewhere? I have a feeling if we double up somewhere, it's going to be wide receiver. I have not seen anything about Amir Smith Marsette's 40 time, but man, he's a solid receiver. I think we're just going to go ahead and take him for our last pick here, and we'll have 2 wide receivers here. So we get our offensive starting offensive left tackle, we get our starting center, we get another linebacker to add to the mix. Right, we get another track star wide receiver. We get our interior bull next to Chris Jones. We get another cornerback to throw into the mix. We get an interesting edge guy, and on top of it, we throw in a second wide receiver to add to the mix. A little different flavor there, and so. We'll see what happens a little bit further into free agency. Again, I expect that the Chiefs will plug the holes that they have on their roster. I expect that they'll get a left tackle, but it won't be a guy that you really want at left tackle. It'll be a guy that if something happens and they don't get their left tackle in the draft early on, that they have a backup plan, basically. And so I would expect them to do that, to plug all their holes, to make sure that they have a guy there who's adequate, and then hope to get those holes filled with someone better during the draft, or post-draft cuts from other teams, and really start churning the roster. And so just because the Chiefs sign a guy doesn't mean they plan on keeping him. A lot of times it's just a safety net. So we're bringing back a lot of our own free agents. I don't think that necessarily means that they're going to stay on the roster come August. I think right now it's just about having that safety net to where you don't feel that you have to reach in the draft, where you have guys that are in your system that you're somewhat comfortable with, that have familiarity with, and if you can't get someone better, then they can play, and you can keep looking for someone better, but otherwise you know that you're not reaching and filling a position of need. And so we'll keep going with our mock drafts. If you have any ideas, any rules you want to throw out for the next mock draft, go ahead and leave them in the comments, and we'll get to those, and we'll have some more fun with this. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know who you think I should look at, what picks you don't like, what you would do instead at those spots, and we'll go from there. Thanks, guys. Have a great night.